Hello and welcome to an update video for Empire War Expanded Fall of the Republic. So this is going to cover some similar topics as another video I'm going to do talking about the future of Empire War Expanded Thrawn's Revenge, but I know not everyone plays both mods, so if you do watch both videos there will be a little bit of overlap, but I'm going to try to focus on the specifics for each mod. In this video I want to talk a bit about the feedback from 0.5, which just released a couple weeks ago, as well as some of the plans we have going forward. So most of the feedback has been very positive. We are glad that so many people seem to be enjoying the mod so far, but again, this is just the first version, so there's a lot of work we still want to do. There have been a few bugs reported, luckily nothing that is super game-breaking. Things like the V19 missing a texture because an object was incorrect in the rig, so that's been fixed. Jedi exploding from the station retreat explosions, that's been fixed. We are trying to look into what's going on where Jedi will sometimes just become frozen in animations. We think it's to do with the Berserk ability, which is what lets them kind of attack while moving. There are a few other options with that. We'd prefer to stick with Berserk because it lets the movement speed be different, but we may just change it so that they're basically always able to attack, and then while they're walking they're doing stuff, but that's more of a under the hood kind of decision. So a lot of other points of feedback have probably come from people who are newer to Empire War Expanded. There's something that has come up with both mods. With the Age of the Explosions, we haven't really done a VFX or graphical effect rework for explosions, particles, all that sort of stuff for about a decade now. We're actually in the beginning phases of that, so you should start seeing a lot of newer explosions, newer lasers, all that sort of stuff come over the next few updates, depending on how quickly all of that goes. We are planning to do monthly releases, so a lot of this stuff will roll out more slowly. We're also in the midst of a pretty large space rebalancing. Much like Explosions, it's been a long time since we've fundamentally revisited the basics of our space combat system. So dealing with how we want pacing to work, balance between classes a bit better. There were some more recent reworks on smaller ships, which helped make smaller ships actually relevant, which they never were before. But it did make them a bit too hard to kill, so that sort of thing is going to be a focus. A lot of those, it does have to do with individual rigs and collision meshes, so those are all getting examined as well. There have been a lot of questions about future content. So in terms of new units and heroes, we will put out a specific list of new units and heroes as soon as some of those have been decided. We have a few things that are underway, like Cody, Rex, Ahsoka, and other characters like that. Coyote Mundi is another one who's very likely, but we haven't made any final decisions on anything for the next version, so that'll come soon. We did a team meeting to talk about general directions for the mod about a week ago, and a lot of that was to talk about general directions rather than specific content, so we're going to have another meeting soon about specific content for both mods and figure out which areas kind of need the most attention as far as that goes. But there will be another one that gets brought up a lot is the Mandator will be coming. The specific ship Pride of the Core gets brought up a lot, but that is a fanon ship and a fanon representation of a Mandator, so that won't be part of the mod. But stuff like the Mandator itself, we're going to come up with our own design for it. We're also going to have things like the Maelstrom coming. There will probably be a bit more of a focus on some of the heavier but more standard Republic stuff in the near future. Things like structures are going to receive a bit more focus. We have planned a change to how space defensive structures and shipyards work, because there's a bug in Empire, or not really a bug in Empire at War. Empire at War wasn't designed expecting defensive stations outside of the main starbase. So the way we do the shipyard is the main base, and then having constructible or buildable defenses around that isn't something the game really accounts for properly. So the AI will attack places not really knowing what's going on. We are making a new system to work around that. So that will probably not be in the next update, but Hopefully in the March update would be pretty reasonable for that. But with Fall of the Republic, the main focuses that you'll see over the next little while will probably come from the reworks on explosions and particles, as well as the space balancing rework, which should help make space ships feel a lot more bulky, I guess. Not bulky is probably the wrong word, but there can be a certain feeling that the ships feel a little bit insubstantial or too fragile. We want to make sure that we keep the same scale of engagement so you can have multiple large battles through a campaign while still making the individual ships matter a bit more. And part of that has also come from how easy it is to lose ships, but also how easy it is to make money and replace ships. So certain things in that are going to be adjusted, hopefully without punishing the player too much for losing individual ships, but finding a nice middle footing there, because we don't want it to just be a group of or a series of small engagements where if you lose a couple ships you're screwed. We want to maintain the general scale of conflict, but still have each fleet and each ship feel like they matter a little bit more. So that's the general direction we're going with the mods. Again, don't want to get too into the weeds in this with specific changes. There'll be more focused updates for that to go over the details. Just wanted to give you guys a general overview of where we're going with that. I guess before we go, one other thing I do want to talk about is rotating turrets, since that's something that comes up especially for people who are less familiar with Empire War Expanded or Thrawn's Revenge. The reason that we don't have rotating turrets in Fall of the Republic or Thrawn's Revenge is because it's a significant CPU drain, and I guess I'll talk about that with the Galactic level as well, where it's the game is only able to use one CPU core, and that is a pretty significant drain in tactical battles. That's a big source of lag in other mods, and one of the reasons that battles in Fall of the Republic tend to run relatively smoothly. So we've been trying to experiment with some benchmarking on different ships with it. We're going to try to find the amount that we can safely use without hurting frames too much. And that's going to be paired with some things to reduce the number of fighter squadrons and some other things to hopefully help with performance to offset any changes made to bring in more rotating turrets. There are a couple places where they're used in the mod. We will be expanding that a little bit. We're not going to make it so that like every turret on every ship is rotating, but some of the major ones. And that brings us to our last point, I think, which is the performance on the Galactic level. There have been some issues with that, especially with people playing on the larger maps. To a certain extent, it just has to be like the more stuff going on the map, the more units, factions, planets, the higher the strain on your CPU is going to be. And again, it's based on just the speed of a single core. In the installation instructions video, I did put some tips on how to improve performance, which can be significant gains in frames by setting the affinity and the priority of the process for the game to as high as it can be, and 2 cores when you're running it, but that has to be done every time, and the information isn't as accessible as I'd like that to be, so I'm probably going to put it in game somewhere. But yeah, so we are going to work on having more options for Galactic Conquest. So another smaller option for the progressive one, because even the smallest one is about 80 planets, which isn't going to be doable for everyone. So hopefully we'll get like a 50 planet one in there, but that's also why stuff like Forost is in, because no matter what people's computer strength is, they should be able to find a Galactic Conquest they can run. And there has actually been some significant gains in performance since the mod came out by playing around with some AI activity, some starting force changes, some sub-faction changes. So that should be rolling out with the next update as well. But yeah, in battles, one of the differences and considerations with battles is that no matter which map you choose, like battles are going to be the same for everyone. So where we can tell people on lower end computers to run a smaller Galactic Conquest, we do have to make sure that there's a certain baseline for tactical battles that's always kept up, which gives us a little less flexibility there. But that, along with some expansions to story systems, fleshing out the influence system more, the government mechanics, these are all things that are going to continue to be a focus throughout the next few releases. The Confederacy, obviously, their government style with the sub-factions doesn't have as many narrative elements as the Galactic Republic's does with Order 65 and 66. So while the Republic will be getting more focus there as well, the CIS will get a good amount done to add to the actual narrative missions and the story side of things for them in Galactic Conquest, on top of just incorporating the minor factions. But that's going to do it for now. Hope you guys are looking forward to the upcoming updates, and hope you're already enjoying the mod. But there are a lot of big fun things to come, so thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time. Bye.